Yeah, really good win from Paulo Costa, dominant performance. But another weird one, right, with Kopylov's performance. There were so many weird ones on the main card where you're just confused. Moving on. Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3. This is the one you want to hear me talk about. So, good fight. Not a crazy fight. Holloway did very well. Poirier did not do that well in this fight. And it's been a growing concern of mine that he wasn't going to do that well in this fight. Because I think Poirier's been out of his prime for a few years now. I think Poirier's prime was the Dan Hooker fight and the McGregor fights. That was his prime. But you got to consider this guy's had a false hip. He had a false hip fighting Islam Makhachev. And I think he's had that against other opponents as well when it comes to Dan Hooker and all sorts as well. But he looked a little bit more fluid then. But since those McGregor fights and the Dan Hooker fight, he just seems a lot sloppier in what he does. And not as refined or sharp, you know? Against Dan Hooker and McGregor, and maybe it's just them as opponents, he was popping them and slick. It looked slick, what he was doing. You're like, damn, he caught him with a three-punch combo. Since then, he's been slugging it out a lot. And you can't slug it out against Holloway. You've got to mix technicality in with it. And listen, Poirier nearly had him finished at the end of the second round. And I actually gave the second round to Dustin Poirier because of it. But that's the only round I gave to Dustin. Other than that, he got picked apart and scored. And it's very sad to see Dustin Poirier retire on a loss. It's almost in Dustin Poirier fashion, but I don't want to make jokes right now because he's a legend of the game and I've watched Poirier's fights for so long and every single time he fights, it's entertaining and he always delivers. And Dustin Poirier, I mean, he's one of the legends of the sport. He is. Hall of Famer. You have to put the diamond in the Hall of Fame. Even though he's not a champion. If there's going to be a guy who wasn't a champion that's going to be in the Hall of Fame, it should be Dustin Poirier, man. He's the epitome of a fighter, like a brawler, like a scrapper. The amount of fights of the years he's given us. Fight of the nights, even more. Performance bonuses, even more than that. Like the who's who on his resume. Look at his resume. It's unmatched compared to anyone, really, in the sport. Other than maybe RDA. But either way, Max Holloway starts by destroying Dustin Poirier, by the way. That's how this fight starts. They're striking back and forth. Holloway's going to the body a lot. I said he would do that. It's open on Poirier a ton when he does his guard up and he starts exposing his massive torso. He has a massive torso. It's hard to fucking miss. And he doesn't have crazy footwork either, so his body's always going to be there even if his head's not. So Holloway had a really smart adjustment going to the body a bunch. Knocked down Poirier in round one pretty bad, and then nearly knocked him down again in round one afterwards, off balance-ish, wobbled him up against the cage. Started going off on ground and pound and stuff like that. Dustin Poirier survives at the end of round one. Round one to Max Holloway, no 10-8 round. Okay? No 10-8 round. I was thinking, maybe he knocked him down kind of twice. He nearly had him finished twice there. But no, wasn't dominant enough. The finishing sequences weren't long enough. They were more sudden moments. So I gave 10-9 to Holloway in round one. Round two, Holloway's destroying him again. Destroying him again at the start of round two. On another level to him, schooling him on the feet, stomping his leg, body kicks, body punches, all sorts. Spinning back kicks were working for him as the fight went on. I was in tune with Holloway this fight. When I was saying stuff, Holloway was doing it. You know, like, go back to that body kick. He had it locked. Like, Holloway was so conscious out there. Holloway was as conscious as me watching him in the fucking fight, which is insane. Because the way he was, like, resetting himself, like, I could see it as well. Like, let's go back to that body kick. And Holloway, you would see him go, calm down, stomp, body kick, back in again, jab, jab, body shot, move out the way. Then he would start throwing like a right hand and sneaking his lead hand. His straight lead hand is his nastiest weapon at lightweight we've seen. That's the true thing about Holloway. He has a really nasty lead hand jab as a secondary. You know what I mean? Like he'll throw the right hand and shift him with it and then just jolt his lead hand in there as well. McGregor actually caught Poirier with this in their rematch. And stung him with it really bad. And it's one of the shots that Poirier says sent like a magnetic shock through his entire body. And Holloway was catching him with that same shit all the time. But of course, he don't hit really like McGregor. But he does hit a little harder at 55. That needs to be mentioned with Holloway. And he's still got his chin. But round two.
Confidence is not a mindset. It's an achievement in the GMC Sierra HD AT4X. Get 5.9% APR for 84 months on Sierra heavy-duty models.
Halloway hurts him bad, stumbles him up against the cage, wobbles him, teeing off. Big Halloway moment. Body, head, body, head. He's teeing off. He's going crazy. He's landing about 20 significant strikes. Halloway ends up on the ground with Poirier. They survive. Poirier ends up scrambling out of it, gets back up to his feet. Poirier hurts Halloway at the end of round 2. And when I tell you I was screaming for that guillotine so badly, Dude, Poirier wobbles Halloway at the end of round 2 with a punch behind the ear. Badly hurts him. And I think that made Poirier win the round more than Halloway, because Poirier got wobbled and then beaten up against the cage and then it stopped. Maybe that round can still go to Halloway, but Poirier dropped Halloway with a punch. Like a bad, wobbled, oh shit, I'm really badly hurt, I'm going down type of thing. And then he nearly had a guillotine at the end of the second round as well. When he jumped that shit, would that not have been the best send-off ever? He gets dropped in round 1. He's getting beaten up in round 2. Then he drops Halloway at the end of the second and finishes him with a guillotine with seconds to go. Cinema. That would have been the best Poirier retirement you could have possibly asked for. A crazy retirement that would have been. Then round 3 and 4. Round 3, 4, and 5 after that, sorry. Halloway does school Poirier in those rounds. I know I saw a lot of people claiming 2-2. The commentary, I was listening to the commentary because it was Poirier's last fight. I was listening to the commentary and they were yapping about Poirier. John Anik, shut the fuck up sometimes. It's okay for nothing to be said. I don't know if he's Adderalled the fuck out. John Anik, this is. Stimmed up on Adderalls behind the desk. Holy shit, nobody's spoken in a few moments. Big shot by Poirier. He'll just say it. No exchange has happened. Or a feint has been made by Poirier. And Anik, because he doesn't want to have dead air time on the commentary, or doesn't want to end what he's saying abruptly, will segue it, or randomly out of nowhere just say, or segue into, big shot by so-and-so. And another great jab by Poirier. That got Max's attention. No, it didn't. And it didn't even land. Shut up, John Anik. Let it be quiet sometimes unless something actually happens. They're screaming for shots that aren't even landing on Halloway. They really tried to make this seem like 2-2. It was 3-1 Halloway going into the 5th. And the second is an if. But I gave it to Poirier. But round 3, schooling Poirier again. Body shots, jabs to the body, jab 2 to the body. He's starting to land in combination on Poirier's face. Poirier's landing good in round 3 as well, by the way. Cuts open Halloway, hits his nose, a little bit of blood comes out of his nose, but Poirier's got a swollen eye, a cut under his eye, in his eye from one of the left hooks of Halloway as well, and then his nose is busted too. So they're in even spots there. I will say that Halloway, one difference we've noticed from him recently is that he takes a lot. His visible damage shows up way more. Way more recently. Since the Volk trilogy, or maybe even since the Poirier rematch in the first place. His visible damage shows up more. I remember a time where you could hit Halloway with anything and you'd be like, this guy just went 5 hard rounds. He don't look like he's even been in a fight. That sometimes used to be how it would be with Halloway, where you would be confused as to how this man's face has just been in a 5-round fucking car crash. But now he's very obviously wearing damage. Maybe it's because the guys he's fighting hit harder or something, but I notice it a lot more, even in some of the fights that he's won at featherweight, where, especially recently, where he's still shown a lot of the visible damage. Same with Yair Rodriguez. He had a lot of visible damage on his face, and I was thinking, that didn't used to happen to Halloway. He used to look like nothing had happened to him at all. And now it's all showing up a lot every fight. So all the cuts are reopening, obviously. And there's like, I almost feel like there's muscle memory for like swelling. Like if a part of your body is swollen up before, it knows that it can do that again. Like it almost doesn't want to until it has done. And then it knows that it has that as an option to recover. I don't know how it works, but that's how I'd guess it would work. Or guess it worked. And then Holloway scored him for the last few rounds. Picked him apart, landed good shots, had Poirier in some trouble at moments, but never really rocked him again. Hurt him in the 4th round, I think. Went to the body a lot. You could see Poirier not liking the body shots. At one point, he spinning back kicked Poirier in the fucking neck while Poirier was coming in. Holloway looked good. He looked a little bit slower than usual, a little bit less footwork than usual, but he looked good. And he has a lot more pop at 55 with his power. I think he should fight Charles Oliveira next. But round 5, Holloway did his thing again, schooling Poirier. Poirier had some moments, but Max nearly over-doubled him on significant strikes. Just picking at him with volume the whole time. Combinations, the lead hand sneaking in the middle of combos as well on an offbeat. Nasty stuff from Holloway here and there. And then the saddest part was you knew Poirier was retired. Max points to the fucking center at the end of the fight. Wants to duke it out with Poirier. Mogs him in the pocket. Beats the fuck out of him for like 7 seconds. And then Poirier's like desperately looking for the clinch against him. It was a bad look at the end of the fight. And I wish Holloway would never have done it, to be honest with you. I know what Holloway wanted to do. Like, here's your moment. You're a legend. Let's duke it out for the last 10 seconds. But that's what I said going into this. When you know it's your last fight, different mindset. If Poirier thought there was a title shot on the line, if he would have won, he's not clinching in that fucking pocket space with Max Holloway at the end of the fight. He's swinging back. But that's when you saw it. That's the difference between a guy who knows he ain't in this anymore and someone in Holloway who still feels like he has unfinished business with Ilia Topuria. It's not unfinished business, but it can be repeat business if he wants it to. Not saying that he would lose again, even though I think he would, but it can be a rematch if he wants it to. But it's not like there's unfinished business. He got chinned. I will say the BMF belt thing needs to stop. I know they should do Holloway Oliveira next, and it would be cool to see Oliveira with a BMF belt. I just can't stand here and still on a guy who I watched in his last fight get slept badly and humiliated by Ilia Topuria. I can't. That makes it silly for me. Anyone else? I don't like the BMF belt. I really don't. I think it's silly as fuck. I think it's childish as fuck. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Some WWE shit. I can't watch a guy just lose. And still, in their next fight, like, what? And still, Ilia's not the BMF champ? It was silly when Masvidal lost to Usman. That's not how BMF takes a belt. Usman flatline KOs him in the rematch. Still no BMF belt handed over. Leon Edwards head kick KOs Usman, doesn't get a BMF belt. I know Bilal didn't get one, but, he won. Then JDM's the lineal BMF champ if we're playing this serious. Fuck that BMF belt, man. It's just a fucking excuse to have a title fight at the top of a pay-per-view when the UFC fucks up and doesn't have a title fight for a pay-per-view. Let's call it what it is. Anyway, see you later. Thank you for tuning in. Toodle pip. Goodbye. Max Holloway scores him to a decision. I got that one correct. I went 8-6 on predictions. I don't think that's that bad, seeing as I don't think anyone did well on this main card. If you did well on this main card, you're an oracle. Because I did not see those 4 fights going that way at all. See you later. Goodbye. Toodle pip.